everybody, welcome back. Thanks for joining me. I'm the Queen of Kingsbury, and I'm here to wish you a Happy New Year. On reflection this year, I wanted to tell you the short story of how this channel started. It started back 2 years ago when a friend of mine, hi Alma, I wanted to share a video with her. She wanted to see a new video of my dog Bella, whom a lot of you know out there. I walk with her everywhere, and she's on our videos with the chickens and everything I do. It's always a little bit of Bella. So I wanted to share a video with her, and I couldn't figure out how to send a large video file that she could open on her side and all that stuff. And she suggested I post it on YouTube or post it somewhere. So anyway, that's how it started. And I didn't realize how easy it was to post a video, or frankly, I would have been posting videos all along since I had a YouTube account. But anyway, thank you, Alma. It was a great idea. And because of that, here I am with 500 plus followers. And I want to thank everybody who subscribed and is part of this little community here. So there you have it. Okay, so I will continue with the New Year's celebration of Buckingham Palace, and I'm going to continue with part 2 of this beautiful book my children got me. It was published in 1968 by Viking Press, and it's all about the glorious Buckingham Palace. The section I'm going to include today is works of art. We covered the architecture last video by John Harris, and now the works of art. We start out this chapter with an engraving by Pine of the octagonal library at Buckingham Palace. The author explains how the house got curated. So it was originally a house and then became a palace and has always been the official royal residence. And it went through many different stages. So I'll read you a little bit here, which is interesting to read, interesting to hear. The constant redeployment of furniture designed for other palaces may suggest that Buckingham Palace, both when it was a house and later a palace, was furnished on the cheap. Certainly George III, who was the first to condemn the extravagances of his son, would hardly have spent in the 1760s on one room the equivalent of £45,000, as George IV actually did some 60 years later, on the music room at Brighton Pavilion. So here we talk about what is the New Japan Room. One of the most costly schemes of decorating undertaken by George III was the creation of the New Japan Room, for which William Weil was paid £575. Significantly, Weil reused the lacquer panels which had decorated the Duke of Buckingham's old Japan Room. Table of the Grand Commanders. Of hard paste porcelain with gilt bronze mounts, this table, known as the Table de Grands Capitaines, was commissioned by Napoleon in 1806, together with 3 other tables similar in character from the Sèvres manufactory. Completed in 1812, it remained in store up to 1817 when George IV applied through diplomatic channels for permission to buy it. Instead of acceding to this request, Louis XVIII seized the opportunity of offering the table as a gift. So delighted was George IV with this present that in all subsequent official portraits wearing the garter and coronation robes he chose to be painted by Sir Thomas Lawrence with his right hand resting on the edge of this table. Here's the top of the table. Like some familiar faces there. Let's see. The stem in porcelain and gilt bronze is in the form of a bundle of pikes. The porcelain top is painted in the center with the head of Alexander the Great, encircled by scenes of his triumphs depicted in imitation low relief. In an outer circle are the heads of 12 commanders from antiquity, each shown above a scene recalling a notable event in his career. Hannibal, for example, is represented crossing the Alps. Pericles building the Parthenon, and Caesar turning away in distress from the severed head of Pompey. Here's a side table by Weissweiler. It's a French side table of the last quarter of the 18th century. Supports 3 soft paste Sèvres vases, green ground, which are slightly earlier in date. The table, which is stamped by A. Weissweiler, or Wheeler, Master, 1778, is of oak veneered in ebony. It is inset on the front and sides with 4 panels of pietra dura and plaques of reddish jasper, and is enriched with gilt bronze mounts elaborately chased. The legs are of cast iron and the slab is of red granite. Here's a close-up of the fruit motif. It's beautiful, shiny fruits, pears and cherries, maybe grapes. Here are the beautiful vases. The Kiln clock. The clock of gilt bronze and Chinese porcelain is of unusual design. The movement is fitted into the shoulders of a famille verte vase of the late 18th century above 2 seated kilns of Qianlong porcelain, 1763 to 95. The Regency knee-hole writing table. The knee-hole writing table, fitted with 5 drawers on each side, is of oak veneered in purple wood. The drawers are of solid mahogany. It formerly stood in the library at Brighton Pavilion and still bears the Pavilion brand mark. It can be identified among the furnishings of the library in an engraving published by John Nash in 1824. George IV and the Arts of France. Here's a chest of drawers by Bernard II van Ryssenberg and a corner cupboard by the same person. He worked out of Paris, and he was a master during 1730 to 1765. It is of oak veneered in ebonized wood and decorated with panels of Japanese lacquer, overlaid in places with European lacquer. The grand piano is of walnut, inlaid with brass, and is supported on a monopodium. This is that one piece right here. It has 3 legs, triangle-shaped base, which rests on the 3 feet in patinated bronze chased with scroll and shell motif. These items originated in Carlton House. That was the house of George IV. That was on the Pall Mall, not too far from St. James Palace. And these pieces of furniture wound up at Buckingham Palace. Look at the detail. Beautiful. French cylinder and roll top desk. A beautiful Italian embroidery panel. Look how large it is. This panel here is 12 feet 2 inches wide by 10 feet 6 inches tall. And here's the little cabinet, which I'm sure isn't very little, underneath it. Busts from the Temple of Military Fame: George III, George IV, Duke of York, Duke of York and William the Fourth. Some marbles, sculpture, Mars and Venus, Prince Consort, Prince Albert, consort to Queen Victoria, by E. Wolfe, dated 1846. He's dressed in Roman wear. Queen Victoria, by Gibson, also dressed in Roman wear. Potpourris and perfume. I see you put potpourri in here, and there's some escape holes here for the scent. And here too. Cabinet by Carlin. A late 18th century French cabinet, which is of oak veneered in ebony and inset with 19 plaques of pietra dura. It is enriched with chased gilt bronze mounts and fitted with 3 cupboard doors. 2 of the marble plaques are signed on the back by a Florentine, G.A. Giachetti. A pedestal by Thaumière supporting the candelabrum, in which there is also a pair, comes too from Thaumière workshop. Look at that, that's beautiful. It's quite a candelabra. Speaking of candelabras, the many you could find in Buckingham Palace. Some of the many, I'm sure. 2 4-dialed clocks. French and English mantel clocks. The Negress head clock by Lepine. More clocks and candelabras. The clock by Delacroix, exceptionally The clock case is signed by its bronze manufacturer, Delacroix, possibly Pierre Delacroix. When he was declared bankrupt in 1771, he had in his workshop a very large clock valued at 4,000 livres. Unfortunately, its description is too imprecise to allow one to identify it with the Buckingham Palace clock. In style, the Buckingham in, in style, the Buckingham Palace clock belongs to the third quarter of the 18th century. More beautiful clocks, mantle clocks possibly. Astronomical Clock by Lepin or Lepine. So it has the months with the zodiacs on them, it looks like. Astrological symbols. It states here that it has the rising and setting of the sun, the moon's age, the year, the days of the month and week, and the signs of the zodiac. More beautiful cabinets. Here's a flower vase painted by Morin and Tandart, a flower vase of soft paste Sèvres porcelain with a turquoise blue ground. In the front reserve is a genre scene of peasants drinking. Sprays of flowers are painted on the sides. The back is plain. The vase bears the date letter H for 1760 and the marks of two painters, Morin, the painter of figurines, who is known particularly for his military and marine subjects, and Tandart, Juin, who was presumably responsible for painting the flowers. Tapestries. The Rape of Proserpine, one of the series of 4 tapestries entitled Les Amours des Dieux, which was woven at the Goblin's Factory. The cartoon for this tapestry was painted by J.M. Veen in 1757, and the panel begun in 1787 on the Goblin's looms of the weaver. Cosette Père was completed 3 years later. Well, thank you for joining me in this special edition of the Queen of Kingsbury channel. I hope you're enjoying the review of Buckingham Palace, and today we feature the works of art. Thank you for joining me, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And stay tuned to the next chapter of the book, which will be Masterpieces. Goodbye, I'm the Queen of Kingsbury. See you next time. Bye.